I'm going to, without further ado, introduce our first speaker, who's going to speak and then host a fireside chat. So if you could start coming up to the stage, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much. So we've got Leonie Taylor. She's an artist and she's a co-founder of Resource Justice. And we are very, very lucky to be hearing from her today. So I'm going to hand over to Leonie.
Thank you, Debbie. Sorry. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. I put both in my speech, thinking as a possibility we'd start late. Okay, let's consider the following 4 statements together. I invite you to notice how they land in your body. Statement 1. My dad worked incredibly hard for the money we have. Statement 2. All wealth is built on stolen labor, stolen land, and stolen lives. Statement 3. My family has enough wealth for at least 10 generations, and we want it to keep growing. Statement 4. There's more than enough wealth for everyone. Let's unpack these statements today. What if all of them were true? At Resource Justice, we invite members to tell their money stories, to share honestly how much money they have and where it's come from. I'd like to briefly share mine with you. My dad worked in the oil trading business. He became CEO of one of the largest oil trading companies in the world. Through this work, he accumulated hundreds of millions of pounds. I don't know how much exactly. I have asked, but no one wants to tell me. I own my own home in London, speaking of home ownership from earlier, worth roughly £1 million. I have £10 million in a trust partnership. It's in my name, but my mum controls it until I'm 35. My mum controls the money because my dad died early 2 years ago. So let's return to statement 1. My dad worked incredibly hard for the money we have. Is that true? Absolutely it is. He worked so hard, he put his own health in jeopardy. However, in talking to other inheritors, sharing our money stories, I noticed how often we mentioned hard work. Our family's hard work, our ancestors' hard work. Now, why is that a problem? Well, I'm curious how the phrase hard work can be used to justify accumulating large sums of wealth. Does a farmer or a cleaner or a nurse in this country not work hard? Absolutely they do. If they worked harder, would they become multimillionaires? No. But still, we're swimming in an old school narrative, this idea that how much money we have is related to how hard we work. And by repeating this phrase again and again, hard work, we place a moral stamp of approval on the money. We place the wealth holder beyond reproach. Let's go to statement 2. All wealth is built on stolen labor, stolen land, and stolen lives. I remember the first time I heard this statement from the organization Resource Generation, how it felt in my body. So much constriction in my chest, so much shame, stolen lives. And yet, it somehow hit me with its truthfulness. Wealth doesn't come from thin air. It comes from extraction. I knew that. I knew the wealth my dad had accumulated to come from our planet, from Mother Earth. I knew it had been stolen from other countries, other people's land, other people's communities, stolen from our children, from their future, and ended up in my pocket. Well, what about the wealth made by artists, musicians, actors, sports heroes? How do they fit in? Okay, so maybe we can't put all wealth in this category, but instead of using those arguments as a get-out clause, let's interrogate what this statement has to offer. Stolen land, stolen labor, stolen lives. We can ask, even if money hasn't originated from an extractive business, how is it being invested now? We all know that the clothes we wear, the food we buy, the mobile phones we hold are connected to a global economy of extraction. It's a gross understatement to say that people are not paid fairly for their labor. If you've done your homework, you'll know the stats on global inequality. You'll know that the top 1% of households, like mine, own 43% of global wealth. The bottom 50% of households own 1% of global wealth. So how did we get here? How do we go somewhere else? Let's go to statement 3. My family has enough wealth for at least 10 generations, and we want it to keep growing. I'd like to take you on a tangent for a moment. Sometimes on a Thursday, I go to singing lessons in Mayfair. And don't worry, I'm not going to sing for you. After a recent singing lesson, I walked through the usual Christmas crowds. But these weren't just any Christmas crowds. These were people in huge chauffeured cars, in Bentleys, in Porsches, people wearing designer clothes, dripping with expensive jewelry, people stepping out of 5-star hotels, stepping into 5-star restaurants. I was in Mayfair. What did I expect? But I'll be honest with you. I felt this disgust, this revulsion at the wealth so brazenly on display. I was judging these people so hard. Who do they think they were? But then I had to laugh at myself. This is me. These people are me. I have this money. I come from this place of excess. Yeah, maybe I prefer to spend it on singing lessons instead of 5-star restaurants, but I still enjoy it when my mum takes me and my siblings somewhere expensive. We may be less flashy, but our mentality is the same. We feel entitled to this money. We want to enjoy it. We want to maintain it for future generations, save it for a rainy day. We have to honor our wealth creator with careful stewardship. We need it to grow. Without that growth, who will we be? Let's bring in the figure of the wealth advisor, an incredibly important person in my family and an incredibly powerful role, particularly since my dad died. It's never spoken out loud, but I wonder if occasionally I am viewed by our wealth advisor as somewhat reckless, somewhat irresponsible, perhaps, simply because I question the norm that we endlessly grow our already incredibly large pot, because I don't get excited by pursuing profit, because investing wisely, for me, is investing in community-led projects or giving it away. Yes, I may have degrees from Cambridge and LSE and 10 years of experience working in the non-profit sector, but that experience doesn't really count for much in the boardroom when it comes to discussing our investments. I feel like my arguments are often dismissed. Okay, bringing us to statement 4. There's more than enough wealth for everyone. Who believes that in this room? Let's just take a poll. Raise your hand if you agree there's more than enough wealth for everyone. Okay, cool. So let me ask you this. If you genuinely believe that, how are you advising your clients? How are we organizing our economy, organizing our lives? Implicitly or explicitly, we have drawn a line across humanity, the haves and the have-nots. We're scared to cross that line, to look into the faces of the people below it, the 50% of the population who own 1% of our planet's resources. We're scared to recognize their common humanity and their right to this wealth. How devastating for us, for them, for everyone. I say scared because I believe the desire to hoard comes from fear. We may know the statistics in our minds, yes, intellectually, but the more important question is, how do we embody a new way of being in the world? Can we dance to a different tune? Can I, in this privileged body, in these privileged bodies, feel safe without all those big numbers in the bank? I know, and you all know, how much beauty there is to be enjoyed in this world. How much beauty in this experience of life on earth. Our wealth can and should be shared to create abundance for all. Recently, I had a refreshing experience with a new wealth manager. She said, "This is your money, your choice. I work for you. I want you to feel good about how it's invested." And she meant it. That was a revelation. I return us to my singing lesson. Don't worry, I'm still not going to sing. Yes, I am the one singing. Yes, it's my voice, and I'm choosing how to use it. But my singing teacher is incredibly important. She chooses the exercises I do. She recommends the songs I sing. We work on the areas she feels I need to develop. To get the most out of my voice, I have to follow her expertise and fundamentally trust her leadership. Whether we admit it or not, the wealth advisor role is as critical and intimate as that. Do you want us to keep singing the same songs that lead us to a scorched earth, to extractive industry, to billions in poverty? Or are there other songs that you know? New harmonies that bring in fresh light, alternative perspectives that can deliver a different message and take us to a different future. Thank you.